Yes.
That one's working.
That one's working.
Oh, that one is.
So it works like this. Now?
This one does work. Great. You sure you're?
Not really.
No, see, that's not picking anything up. Okay. Welcome everybody to the first of the. Welcome everybody to the first of the technical sessions. Our speaker this morning will be Thym. I hope I pronounced your name right. Principles of open source communities. This is the community and social track starting. So get social.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Yes? Excellent. I want to start with a simple question. Why are we here? Don't be afraid. It's not a philosophical discussion starting here. The precise question is, why are we here today? If you look into classical management science theories, that should not happen. Most of us are here spending our money, spending our spare time to improve software we give away for free. And you can take a book of your choice that's not rational, that should not happen in the business world. But as you see, it happens. So there must be something else, some other points gluing that community together, making the things work. My name is Thym, and in the next 40 minutes, I try to show you the principles behind communities as I researched them in the last couple of years. I want to show you my view of our world clearly. Why is it fascinating? It is fascinating for us, and it's fascinating for the management discipline where I came from. I'm a business guy. You can split the phenomenon in the open source community into two parts. The first part are the open source effects. These effects are created by an open license. The other part are community effects. The community effects were first created by Linus Torvalds, by his change from his mode of development, from the cathedral style, from the top-down development model, to his bazaar style, to his community management, where he accepted patches from everywhere, integrated the community into the decisions, and so on. These are the effects created by the community. If you have a look into open source software, for example on Forge, you find some projects only using the open source effects. For example, 7-zip, I think it's one guy developing the software. I don't know if he is accepting patches, but this is not a community, but it's open source software. Other projects like KDE are open source community projects using all kinds of the effects. The open source effects include, for example, new business models. Because the software license is free and can be shared, can be developed together, as we see in the keynote speech, many companies are working together there, building a new product, a new business model. The curious thing about the business model is it differs from the old models selling licenses. You don't sell the license, it's free, but you build your business model around the product. So you sell services like KDAP does, you're selling hardware like IBM does, or you have other models around the software. Or you don't make money with it at all. And you will create direct value. The most famous example here is surely Wikipedia. There is no company involved, but they have created a tremendous value for the world. And the last thing is, it's a new form of market entry. If you want to enter a market which is led by dominant players, it's very hard. And if you go to some investor and say, I have an excellent idea, I want to write a program which competes with Microsoft Office, they will declare you insane and you won't get any money. If you make it an open source project, you have a chance to fight these monopolies. Firefox did this, and also OpenOffice is a product from such a situation. The other effects are the community effects. And from a management perspective, it's fascinating how these communities manage to use self-organization. They use the collective intelligence from the whole team, and they live a form of passion and fascination in the community that's very, very interesting. And the background from my studies was, is it possible to transfer these effects, especially the community effects, from communities to any other organization? And that's why I want to focus on the community effects. The open source effects are very well explained already. You will find a lot of papers in that field. So how are these effects created? You have the effects, and they exist because people work together, they react together in a special way. Why do they react in that way, those effects come together? There is very traditional motivational theory, and this says people are motivated by some kind of motivation. And it is the theory behind. Only analyze that motivation, which is necessary. Grab the motivation when you know person P is motivated by M, take it, transfer it to the company, and you have open source effects. That was done in many cases. You have many studies asking the developers, why are you motivated? Why are you participating in the community? But I'm not sure if that is really working. In fact, I doubt it. Because persons are different. They differ from each other, and what is a motivation for one person mustn't be a motivation for the other person. And there is another reason. Two researchers, Ross and Samuels, had done an analysis for about cheating and cooperating with their students. In the first step, they analyzed the characters of the person. They asked the older student, what do you think? This guy, is he cheating or is he cooperating in the following game we are playing? So they had a profile of the students. In the next phase, they played a prisoner's game. I don't know if you know it. It's about cooperating and cheating. If both players are cooperating, you have the maximum benefits for all parties. If one is cooperating and one is cheating, the cheating one has the most benefit, but it's very short time, and if both are cheating, you gain nothing. So for the community, it's the best to cooperate. For the single one, it's best to cheat while the other is cooperating, but that doesn't work in the long run. So they played the game. And the interesting thing is it has no influence on the pre-assumed character of the persons. They played the game in two settings. The rules were exactly the same. The difference came from naming the game. If the game was called the community game, 70% cooperated. In the same game with the same rule, when it's called the Wall Street games, only 30% cooperated. And that shows me the power of the context, of a little detail like the naming of a game, and it has a tremendous influence on the behavior of a person. So if you talk about the community effects and how to transfer them, a major part is the context in which you are reacting. And of course, it's about the person itself, because persons are different. Different persons react different in the same situation. So in my analysis, I focused on the persons, on the characters active in the open source communities, and the context which is built by those communities, by the interaction of the different people in there. The person has different characters, have different needs, different experiences, skills, and so on. That was one type of focus. And if you have a look at the personalities, that's very well researched, a very diverse group, as it is often. No. The research was based on many communities and many research done by others about the Apache community, Linux community, and so on. There is a strong part of the KDE community in there, but that's a summary of different studies already done. Probably we have a little bit more females in our community than others, but it's about this range. Mostly male, younger than 30, worldwide location, focus on Europe and North America. Another interesting study was done by von Krock and his team. He analyzed the members of mailing lists, especially new members joining the mailing list, joining the project. And they found three categories. The first is the proactive problem solver. This type of character is working with the software, is using it, has read the mailing list for years, has found a bug, has found a solution, and in the first contact to the list, he is presenting the patch. This is the typical successful open source developer. He's very successful, and most of you sitting here or sitting next doors, I think they are like this character more than like the others. The second type is the waiting volunteer. He offers his help. I've studied this, I can code, I can this, give me a job. And most communities fail to integrate those people because it's not so scalable like the other one. And these is a group of high potentials, but it's not used very well at the moment. The last category is the visionary. Visions are very important also in open source projects to have a direction where to go, but this type of character is nearly a disaster in communities. They use the software and they have excellent idea how the software should be improved to really rock the world. Unfortunately, these ideas stand in contrary to the ideas the developers have. And so there are discussions and discussions with no end, and they do more harm than they use at the moment. Okay, this was a research I've done through many of the big people, you know, Linus Torvalds, the famous community manager, how their characters are, and this was the result, very short. You can have the slides after the presentation. You don't have to photograph the pictures. You will get them all. Another important point is the skills of the persons. Of course, they have special technical skills. If you can't code, it's very hard to contribute by improving the software code. So you need to have technical skills. But you also need social skills. When you follow the mailing lists and the communication scale of the successful open source projects, you will find out that they have high social skills in respectful communications, in problem-solving abilities to keep the community focused on the content and not on disagreements. And the last point is every member of a community has the ability to learn autonomously on his own. Otherwise, if there's somebody who needs to be spoon-fed everything he knows, then it's not scalable. I will come to that point later. And if you talk about the context is built by other actors, other persons near you, how they react, how you think they might react on your action, what action they would expect from you. So the context is, you can guess about the context when you know what's the culture that is established in that context, which are the values they have, what is important, what is the basic assumption how things should be done. If that differs, you have a problem in the community anyway. And there is a special leadership style. And that leadership style is very different to classical organizations. Because when you go in a community and tell somebody he has to do that job until in 1 week, he will be very pleased and pack your code and fork it or search another project if you're unlucky. So that's not a very good solution. The main difference between leadership and communities and other leadership is the measurement of accomplishments. In an ordinary organization, you are measured by the accomplishment you have for your boss. And in a community, you will succeed if you have high accomplishments for your followers. So that's one of the main differences. Okay, I have to hurry a little bit, I think. Now, the 7 principles. These are very abstract principles, but I found them in every community, in every successful community, and you find them in the culture as well as in the personalities, in the structure, in the processes. They are all orientated on that 7 principles. The first, you might guess, is openness. Openness according to the source code. If you don't have an open license, it might not work. It will not work. But it goes further. You have also an open structure. You have blurring boundaries between developers, users, power users, and so on. And you need an open attitude. Open attitude to new people and an open attitude to different ideas to integrate them. When you have only your idea and want to push that forward, it's very hard to do it in a community. You have to be open-minded and flexible for new ideas so it might work. And there are also open communications. You can read the mailing lists of every project. You can grab the source code. The second point is the scalability. As I told before, if a project is scalable when it even works better when it grows. So when you have people needing to be spoon-fed, if the community grows, the pressure on the main persons increases in that dimension. They can't handle it anymore. So you have modular parts of the software, and as the teams as well, if they grow and get too big, they split into sub-modules to be developed autonomously. If one module fails, there is surely another module you can take over. So you have a diversity and you have a basis for evolution, and the best solution will survive while the other will die or improve the software until it's better. But the important thing is it's autonomous. If one part dies, the whole project is still working. You have circular feedback in those communities, from the communities to the developers, from developer to developer, and that's one basic rule of the use of collective intelligence. Without feedback, it won't work. So it's very important to give feedback in a proper way, in a respectful way, and the other big point is to accept the feedback, to learn from it, not to adopt everything somebody said, but to think about it, and if it makes sense, probably it does, to integrate it into your behavior. Most communities are coined by pragmatism. You find it very often, the advice from senior developers. You don't need a concept, a detailed concept, an idea, and then just code. Release it early and release it often, so others can improve it, can have a view on it, can give you feedback in short cycles. That makes the quality improvement very high if you do it this way. Communities are not only about software code, they are more about people. And so you have social interactions in those communities. You have social and personal information on blogs, for example, on conferences. You know the people behind the nicknames, behind their software code, and this has immense effects on the way you work together, on the forming of a group. To be a member of a group has such a powerful influence on your behavior. I could talk for another hour about these effects. So if you talk about communities, open source software, it's about people. And if you have a great community, you will have great software and not the other way around. And the last of the 7 is freedom. Freedom not in the sense or in the meaning of a free license. That is in the point openness. It's the freedom of choice. Every member of the community has the freedom to choose his project, to choose his task, to choose the priority of the task, to choose his colleagues, even to choose his leader. He can choose his solution to his problem and realize it. If you look into the business world, in most places you don't have that freedom of choice. And this is tremendous important, and you see it as soon as you try to limit that freedom of choice, your project is in trouble. There are some famous people from time to time trying to push their ideas into the community, and there is a big big pressure from the community every time they try it, and they are not very successful in this field right now. Oh no, here's another one. Equally important as the other one. If you have a look at the communities and the people behind, you will find out they love what they do, but more important, they do what they love. Every person in a project has a personal relationship to the thing he does. He cares about it. There is a personal relevance. It is important for the person what thing he does, what he is developing. And if that one is missing, the project dies. If you lose your interest because there is another project, a better one, and everyone focuses on this one, and you can use it too because it fulfills your need, your activity will be reduced. So it's very important to have a personal, or to scratch a personal itch, as somebody has told before. Consequences. What shall we do if we want to improve our community or transfer those effects to other organizations? So based on my model from the beginning, we have two possibilities. We can modify the person or we can modify the context. I believe it's very, very hard, even impossible, to change persons. If you try to change yourself, you will have found out it's hard enough to change yourself, but it's very difficult to change others. So, in my opinion, the better way is to change the context. What have I done? I've changed the universe. I've changed the universe. And that means you can change the universe too, by your behavior. If you want to change, you have to change yourself. You have to change your behavior by creating a context which provokes special actions, which provokes the open source effects. And I'm experimenting with it rather every day. I left the university and now I'm assistant to the CEO in a company with many freedoms, and I can try these things out, and it's working magnificent. I'm blown away by the effects you have when you create an open source environment, and it's not a software business. We are making paint for the wall. So very traditional business, but if you treat your co-workers, your colleagues in another way, they are like changed. So if you want to modify your context, your situation, modify or change yourself, your behavior, and the most powerful thing is to do it by experiments. Because you can't know, you can't predict behavior of people. You might have a chance by doing it, but you can't ensure it. So it's important to make it an experiment. And it will fail, but what's up? Then it fails. Then you learn from it, you modify your experiment, and you do it again. So you learn and you can adapt the experiment to your specific context. Now, in the last 10 minutes, I will pick 3 experiments might be interesting for the community itself. I've read it on the planet in the last couple of weeks about the quality. There were some voices we have to improve the quality of our software to make it easier to spread it. And I think this is an important point, very important for the project, but it is also difficult. I've told you about the characters in open source communities. They are the proactive guys solving problems. And if you analyze those character types, you often will find curious people, very interested in new things. They do things one after the other, and there is another strong support for pragmatism in the community. And the enemy of pragmatism is perfectionism. Because if you are perfect, you might not get the things done in a proper speed. The culture at the moment is to rapid prototype, not to be perfect. So there are some really strong points in the community that work against the high quality. And the solution, you can read on the blogs, is, yeah, paid people should do that. They get paid for it, so they have to do those kind of jobs. But I think there might be an even better solution. Before we talked about the awaiting volunteers. This is a different kind of person. They have other needs, other interests, and I'm convinced there are a lot of perfect people out there. They would have a pleasure to optimize every pixel on the screen, to optimize every process, to make it really, really perfect. Those people exist. And now is the question, how can we involve those people into our community? How can we spread our ideas and our software? What do you see when you look at that picture? Most people see a loving pair, I will say it. If you show that picture to children from the kindergarten, they only will see the dolphins. Why is it? Oh. Here is one, there is another one, here is one, there, here, here. I showed you that because I want to make it clear that you see what you expect to see. You see, what you see is based on your experiences, on your assumptions. The picture you see doesn't exist in your eye. It's created in your brain. And your brain is influenced strongly by what you have experienced before. If you show it to the kindergarten children, they only will see dolphins. And if you want to go really sure, look a book of dolphins before together with them, and they will see only the dolphins. And this is a problem when you want to spread the world. Because if you go to business people, for example, and you talk about the freedom of software, you talk about love. And they only see dolphins, they don't understand you. If you want to communicate to other people, you have to tell them what's interesting for them, not for you. In marketing, we say, if you want to go fishing, the worm has to taste delicious for the fish, not for the fisherman. So if you want to involve other people, you have to make it clear what's interesting for them, what they can gain, what kind of their needs will be fulfilled if they join the community, if they help by contributing. And these reasons are different from the reasons you, the proactive problem solver, is sitting here. And for another point is, I've read about a t-shirt discussion. Katie, we need a t-shirt. Yes, I think we need a t-shirt, and I think we need at least 2 t-shirts. Because you have the message, and that has to be appropriate to the situation where you are. Is it a t-shirt for the developer? It can be a little bit geeky. If it's a promo t-shirt on a business conference, it had to be designed completely different to make it interesting for the business people and not for fellow hackers. And the last point is circular feedback, because that's very difficult, and wrong feedback is not very good for the learning process in the community. If you look at this picture again, are these lines parallel? When you see it, most people think they are not parallel. As I told you, you have the black and white dots in your eye, but your brain is creating your image in your head. And most people see it as those lines are not parallel. So your senses, your only way to access reality, your brain is making a fool out of you from time to time. You can help it and see it, okay, they are parallel, no problem. But if you take it away, you're fooled again. You don't learn those things, those interpretations of your brain, they are automatically. And those interpretations you have in talks with other people, during discussions on mailing lists. And the difficult thing is, if somebody gives you feedback and tells you you are wrong, you think you're not. Because it is tremendous difficult to believe that your brain, that your assumption, that your perfect solution for that problem might be wrong. But often it is, or it can be improved by working together. So therefore it's very important if somebody tells you these lines are parallel and you said, no, I need a second to look at it and I see they are not parallel. Think for a moment. Perhaps they are indeed parallel. And while you think the other is wrong, the funny thing is he or she thinks exactly the same about you. And if you don't do compromise, if you don't even think for a second, the other might be right too. Probably I am wrong. You don't have a perfect solution to that case. So take feedback seriously, think about it, and try to really integrate it in your decision. I want to catch up the question from the beginning. Why are we here today? We are here because the KDE community is creating a context that is so fascinating for us, for our personalities, that we could not resist to be here today. And what can we do? Let's improve our context to make it even better. And let's make it as fascinating, as inspiring as it is for us, also for other people. Let's modify our context. Let's spread our idea to make their world also our world, clearly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to suppress questions so that we can get back on schedule. Our next speakers are Ingo Malcho and Wilson. Ingo's not here, so Ann Wilson will be filling in for Ingo.